Hello everyone, this is China Paradigm, where we, Daxue Consulting, interview seasoned entrepreneurs in China.
Hi everyone, I'm Matthieu David, the founder of Daxue Consulting and podcast China Paradigm, and today I'm with Carlo Dragonetti. You are in charge of e-commerce and communication, especially online communication at the Italian trade agency, and you have been famous before of being viewed 20 million times after a speech you gave for graduation. And I believe that's how you were initiated with social media, with how to leverage social media and video and so on. And I'd like to talk more about this. And also that Italian companies in China, how to communicate online, how to be an ambassador of Italy on Tmall. That's what you do currently. So thank you very much for being with us, Carlo.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you for inviting.
Could you tell us more about your story in China first, so the audience understands where you come from and what you currently do?
Definitely yes. My approach to China started a couple of more than a couple of years ago. I came to China because I started studying Chinese back in my university in Italy. And then I realized that my Chinese approach was not enough. So I decided to go to Beijing to study. First approach there was very, very nice. And after that, I went back to Italy to finish all my studies. And I felt like I really had to go back to China. That's what I did. Before going back to China, I went to Vancouver. Which is the second biggest community of Chinese from China mainland and not out of China. So the feeling I had to go back to China was higher and higher because my experience with them was growing. I got 2 scholarships from the Chinese government for studying in Shanghai, and I've been studying here for around 3 years. I did my master, and then you were right, Matthieu. At the end of my student career, I had a sort of exploit. That's what we would say in French. It was interesting. It was my first approach to the communication world from inside, not from outside. But this is how I started to enter the world of e-commerce too. E-commerce and communication are very related. And that's how today I'm the ambassador of Italy on Tmall Global. The reason why in this world of e-commerce there are so many KOLs, so many influencers, is because you have to communicate for selling. And that's what sometimes it's very complicated to explain that there's a different process of communication in this part of the world compared to the other part where we come from. And that's the job we are trying to do and to support in the Italian trade agency, to support Italian companies that are not only willing to enter Chinese market in the traditional way, offline, but also online. So that's one of the challenges we're facing lately.
I see. I'd like to go back to the origin of your presence online, especially with this video. This video was how was it made? Was it someone making the video and then posting on Weibo? And then after that, once you have been seen millions of times, have you been able to leverage that, these followers? Have you been able to continue to get views, or it was a one shot? Could you explain us more about how it happened and how you could leverage it?
So I wasn't looking for that. I have to admit it. I even invited my parents coming from all the way from Italy because it was an experience. Being a Victorian, going on the stage and speaking in front of 8,000 students, it was interesting. But I wasn't looking for saying something that would have made me famous, at least for a while. And well, what happened is that a girl at the end of the speech, the speech itself was at 7 in the morning in Minhang, which is a place a little bit far from the city center. So it was the end of June, and it was very hot. I was very nervous because I had to speak in front of 8,000 people, all in Chinese. I was a bit stressed. So as soon as I finished, I was so released that when a girl came to me and told me, "Hello, Wang Xiaolong," which is my Chinese name, "may I post your video on Weibo?" And I was like, come on, it's something you don't even have to ask me. Of course you can. Well, that might have been one of the biggest mistakes of my life, because if I only knew that the girl that came to me was the owner of the account of Peer Video, which basically is an account with 50 to 60 million follower, well, that might have changed my I wouldn't say my life, but at least the following days, my account on Weibo might have been so hot that I would still be commenting and chatting with all my fans. That's something that didn't happen. Why? Because I didn't at the time have an account on Weibo, which is fine, because I managed somehow to leverage the story and let's say to come up with good result out of it. First of all the Italian media started coming to me. It's not that common to have, let's say, a young Italian that speaks Chinese that managed to become famous in China. And apart from, well, I tried to divide what is one-shot communication to what might have been useful for my future. So I started understanding whether this could have brought me something, let's say, useful for my life, or it was just one time only famousness online. And I managed to enter in contact with different companies, both for the two reasons, right? The reason why I decided to keep using my image to what I decided was to keep using my image to meet new people, or to leverage all the connection and contact I had in China, rather than building a career on that. Now it's funny because in the end I'm actually keep doing things for my KOL career, but my main interests are not in the communication to be considered as a KOL, but are mostly in the communication to be considered as the one that organizes the campaign for KOLs. So let's say this is something that living the experience as a KOL from inside does help me a lot in what we're doing, for example, for the Italian trade agency. So it has been very interesting. I have been in contact with Chinese televisions, Chinese radios, Italian television, Italian radios, newspapers. It was a very interesting moment. And then I realized that the story of my speech went all around the world. I read articles in Polish. I read articles in India, and it was a fun story.
I see. So the lesson we can learn from it is that when you are in China, get your social media ready, so that if there is a video, if there is a content about you, you can leverage it and get followers and keep them, because that's not what you had at that time. You didn't have a Weibo account.
Come on, that's somehow a very general. It's not common that you make a video that goes viral like that. From a general point of view, I would say yes, you're right. But in the end, you need to feed your fans. So no matter you make something viral and it goes viral, and wow, it was beautiful, it was fun, was interesting, was whatever. But then you have to feed your fans. So you have to keep posting, you have to interact, you have to make stories, you have to share what you think, and then try to have a strategy for that. It's not just, oh, I saw a funny thing and then I'll post it. The most interesting part of having had the chance to be, let me say, famous for a long while has been I had the chance to get in contact with important people in the sector in China and in Italy. And one of the most important KOL in Italy at the moment wanted to meet me because his interest in China are growing more and more, and he wanted to have a chat with me. I was very happy to meet him, and what he told me is it's very common in this time to become famous just for something, and then how do you have to leverage it? He told me if you like glasses, you can become a KOL for glasses, because there might be group of people that are very interesting in glasses, but you cannot be a KOL of glasses and pens together, because the people that like pens do not like glasses. And this is a very bad example with the first two things I had in front of me, to say that there is a group of people that can be a lifestyle KOL, say Cristiano Ronaldo or Kim Kardashian, all these big names, but not people that start their career as influencers or KOL. You have to start feeding your fans with pen information or glasses information or what you see on, just trying to have one single focus. Otherwise, it's going to be very complicated to keep feeding your fan and having a pool of things. So lifestyle KOL or influencers, it's a bit complicated. At the time, I didn't really know what I have to do. I had some agency that told me, listen, you're Italian, you can be a KOL of Italy. That might work. I wasn't very convinced. I decided to start working for the Italian trade agency. And then, let's say the focus came to me. I didn't go to the focus because I started having contacts with Timo, with Kaola, with we're working a lot with well, we're starting working with Xiaohongshu, with Red, and then the guys from Timo Global told me, well, we are starting a new content platform, which is the national treasure, and we would like to invite you as a representative of Italy. And that was very interesting. So let's say the process of becoming a KOL now for me is a bit different. But as I told you, this question was how to leverage the video, right? I try to build a path to leverage it, so to gain on it in terms of connection, in terms of contacts, in terms of possibilities for the future. That's what I did.
What do you do as the agency to support Italian companies? What do you do specifically yourself and the agency, generally speaking?
Okay, the agencies, the main stakeholder of the agency is the Ministry of Economical Development. So the goal of the agency is to support Made in Italy in China. There are 4 offices of the Italian Trade Agency in China, plus 1 in Taiwan and Hong Kong. And what I am specifically doing, well, the agency does support Made in Italy, organizing roadshow for a Chinese company to in Italy, or organizing groups of Italian companies coming to fairs. There are many different things, many different promotional activities that the state organize for Italian companies in China. What I am in charge of is all the communication and the e-commerce relations with let's say the main Chinese e-commerce platform. what I like to do is to communicate what the promotional activities do, and specifically in China. For example, now we're working a lot with the food and beverage sector. And that's a big challenge, because we have to face some bad strategy of Italian companies in the past year, for example, for wine sector. As you know, the French own the highest part of the market in terms of wine. They came to China 40-50 years ago saying this red liquid is called Bordeaux, and so from now on that's what you have to call it. So we create a whole campaign, investing an important amount of money, of public money, to support all the business of Italy, of Italian wines in China.
I understand the agency, the governmental agency. So you have to promote all the products from Italy. You cannot promote specific products
Right.
from very specific companies. And you are doing e-commerce. So how do you do e-commerce and promote all the products from Italy? Could you explain more about what you do in your promotion? Is it to sell product directly with your own shop, with the Italian shop? I know Alibaba, so Tmall, had a shop per country at some point, but I'm not sure it got the leverage and the momentum that it was expected. So I don't know how it is now. Could you explain more?
Right. Yeah, we do represent Italy. It means that we have the goal of the agency is to promote all the possible business, all the possible company, no matter they're big or they're small. Of course, the bigger they are, the more it is complicated to represent them. Let me make a very bad example. Ferrari would never come to us and say, support my campaign in communicating how fast can a Ferrari drive. So what we do is support the small and medium enterprises to enter Chinese market. The interesting part of this is understanding how can we support the made in Italy, and what happens when we go to talk with e-commerce platform. They are very happy to get to know us because we represent for them the possibility to enter in contact with all Italian small and medium enterprises, which, by the way, represent the 96% of Italian companies.
How much?
So 96% of Italian companies.
Okay.
Right.
I see.
So that's pretty interesting for them. You spoke about the online promotion, the online campaign more than promotion we are doing, and that's the brand hub. There's a content marketing tool on Alibaba which is called Brand Hub, and is another page that we can call it that way, where all the companies that have a store on Tmall could open their own brand hub. This platform is not sale driven, but it's content driven. It means that I am Nike, for example, and not only I want to sell my products, but I also want to explain to all my beloved client how and why my Nike shoes are so good, or my sweater are cooler than Adidas, right? So that's the tool. The tool is communicate. It's very useful to communicate what they're doing. We decided to go on Brand Hub towards also a long and strategical partnership and talks with Alibaba Italy, which is the base for Alibaba in Southern Europe. And we decided to come up with a brand hub because the Italian trade agency cannot sell products. So we couldn't have created a platform, let's say a page on Alibaba under our name to sell products that could have never happened. So what we decided to do was to invest in a communication campaign to group all together in Alibaba the Italian companies that were already in Tmall Global.
Oh, I see.
So now we have under the Hello Ita name, we have more than 100 brands.
Wow.
If I don't go wrong, 103 at the moment. In 3 different categories. We go from lifestyle to food and beverage to fashion. We have big names and smaller names, but still smaller names that are making money, because as we all might know, it is a little bit expensive to make an investment on Alibaba, especially to go on Tmall Global. So we have both brands that are in Tmall Global, and we have brands also on in cross border directly from Italy. So this is what we have,
Okay.
what we are doing now, and we organize campaign based on content. So not only we have a contract with Alibaba, we have a contract with Alimama, which is the company from Alibaba that sells all the advertisements. So we are doing media buy to try to get more and more clients to get to know our platform. And now this is quite interesting. All the efforts of the past 6 months we managed to get all this effort paid back, because in this period we had more than 70,000 followers and more than 20 million impressions between comments, between interactions, between viewers of our streamings on Alibaba, etc. So it is a quite challenging activity, because it's not sales driven. So you cannot really compare if it's going well or if it's going not well. We have to compare these as if we were KOL ourselves. So we're trying to communicate with China what Italy does, why to go to Italy, what to do in Italy, if they like Italian food, where to buy Italian food, how to buy Italian food, how to dress as an Italian. But we are not trying to do it, let's say, in a miscellaneous way, in which we're trying to say that we are better with our Chinese friends, which is not even true. But we're trying to do it, trying to make that understanding that if they want to buy Italian, they can have a whole pavilion where to find a lot of Italian product certified and with a lot of promotion, which is the key of, let's say, having a good strategy and possibly a successful strategy on this type of e-commerce platform.
Which tools work best for you? You talked about live streaming. You talked about creating content, so a post, basically written post. Where have you seen the biggest leverage, and could you be more specific on it?
We, as I told you, we are content driven, so we are our interest is to always increase the number of followers, which means people that can often go to see you, receive notification when we post something, etc., etc. So we have thought that in order to have a better result, we had to increase a lot the number of followers. The Italian trade agency organizes a lot of other promotional offline campaigns, and we realized that the interaction between offline and online is the key of enhancing and increasing the number of followers and the engagement that followers had with our platform. So apart from all these offline activities, which are working very well, usually a call to action. So you scan my QR code, I give you the gelato cup, or you want the bag, you have to scan the QR code, etc., etc. Apart from these all offline to online activities, we have tools online inside the Alibaba ecosystem. We have what in Chinese is called 应分宝. The 应分宝 is the pop-up notification that comes out when you open Alibaba. Well, to be more specific, when you open Taobao. The specific pop-up notification that comes out can be linked to our brand hub. Then we have all the tools that Alibaba provides for the media buy campaigns. So we get to know some data that we try to analyze, and we understand what have been going well and what have been not going well in terms of banners, in terms of content, in terms of articles, in terms of the color of the banner, the pictures in the banner, and or even the topic we decided to analyze in certain campaigns, etc. So as I told you, we have 3 different sectors. So every month or every important month in the Chinese online calendar, we try to shape our communication in that direction.
I see.
The tools are actually very, very good to make a good campaign. At the beginning, for us, was very complicated to get to know the tools. Because working with Alibaba is very challenging and is very interesting at the time. Is a young generation of the average in the CC campus. The average age in Hangzhou is 28 years old. So they are all very young, very willing to work and to create more. But sometimes it's very complicated because they use their own language, they use their own communicational app. It's challenging. Now we as organizers are satisfied, but the best part of these is that also the companies that have been joining so far, Hello Ita, are satisfied. So that's the most important.
You say that where you see the biggest leverage is offline to online, offline events where you scan QR code and you get followers from offline events. That's what you are saying, right?
Not only in leveraging followers, but the interaction of online to offline is very important. So let me go back again to the food and beverage promotion we are holding at the moment. We have been working with Hema, Alibaba's family again, promoting more than, if I don't go wrong, more than 100 Italian brands with, I don't know, even 200 or 300 SKUs in different areas of China. This promotion is called We Are Together, and we were together with Hema promoting Italian products, right? What we were doing there is not only being present in GDO and in supermarkets with our I don't know, tables where there were Italian chefs doing cooking shows, or we had MCs going to talk the stories of Italian products, etc., etc. We invited KOLs, but we were also online on Hema app, and that was very powerful and very interesting. So no matter you scan QR codes to become a follower, but you have to think of promotion that can be brought together online and offline to get the best out of it. So interactions That's a very good job. That's a very good tool. Interactions, the easiest way to interact is a call to action. So I ask you to do something and I get back something else.
Yeah.
That's the base. But there's so many different marketing tools that can enter this discussion to make the best interaction between online to offline, or vice versa. But it's all about how much do you want to invest. That's very important.
Yeah, the investment online actually is always bigger than what people think. Most people think that
Right.
it can be random, as you did actually with 20 million views. It can be by chance, it can be a bit random to get other views. But if you want to really do it at a specific time for a specific message, this costs a lot because you want something very, very specific
Right.
you decided to work on. I'd like to my final questions, because we are going to soon have to and the interview. My final question is about the identity of a nation online, an identity of a country online. I give you one concern that the French identity firm has. It's very difficult to promote French food because there is no specific dish from the French food compared to Italy, where there are two specific Italian dishes, which are pizza and pasta, for instance. Which can be clearly identified with Italy. So the identity of a country online, when you promote this country, how do you handle it when you have so much identities and when it's not sometimes very easy to promote the entire identity? Moreover, when you need to be fair with all the industries, all the sectors, what's your thinking about that?
That's actually a fun fact, funny stories. You were true saying that sometimes it's complicated when you don't have an identity or let's say a mascot that you can use to enter a stadium. We have pasta, we have pizza, we have gelato, right? We have products that can be sold, but what we are trying to do is not only we have these Trojan horses to enter China, which are the most famous things, the most commercial products. But as I told you before, Italy has a 96% of small and medium enterprises that sometimes cannot make numbers to feed all China. So it is also, we have also to balance all of these. So the campaign we're trying to organize are more about the quality of Italian food, no matter is a Trojan, no matter is pasta, pizza, or gelato, or is a very good balsamic vinegar, or is a very good milk, or is a very good whatever, is very good water, which any other country might have. But what we have to do is to increase the awareness of Italian products in China. That's more let's say more that's the biggest challenge. And to do that, it's even more complicated because you have to fight ananas pizza, pineapple pizza. You have to fight things that are not real Italian or real high quality, the high quality you want to communicate. So the pineapple pizza is always a big deal between Italians and international friends. That's was just an example to say, you have to fight what sounds Italian and what is Italian. The Parmesan from Kraft is not Italian because we have the Parmigiano. And how to explain it to a person that never used cheese in his food culture. So it's a big challenge. It's part of a bigger process.
Yeah.
In closing, I wanted to analyze another aspect. We are now working a lot with slow food, which is a very important company well, it's an association actually, that promotes certain type of values in terms of food. So the fair food, the clean food, that protects not only the person that has the food, but also the producer of food, etc. And that's, let's say, a new idea of facing the fast food growing culture of food. What we have decided to why we have decided to cooperate with them is because we would like to have more trainings and more activities that can get to know, that can help Chinese consumers or international community in China to get to know more and more about what is Italian food and how Italian ingredients can match the Chinese cuisine. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
No, I think I was saying I understand. So you are trying to do what a lot of countries have a hard time to do, is to understand how to match their products, which are very cultural, to Chinese food.
Sorry, I can't hear you again very clearly.
You can't?
Can you say it again?
You cannot at all, or you cannot clearly?
I cannot hear you clearly.
Yeah, please go on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Now I can hear it. Okay, please. Can you say it again?
Yeah. So what you said, that you try to match Italian food and ingredients with Chinese typical dishes, which is what some countries have tried to do as well. If I take the case of France, for instance, the wine, which is famous from France, don't fit always with Chinese food, where you have a lot of different dishes with fish, with meat, and so on at the same time, for instance. Or a wine like Bordeaux with very spicy food may not work very well, but still it's very famous. So it's not easy actually to match. So you were saying that you work with Slow Food Association.
Right, that's correct. It's also quite a matter of perception of the consumer, that the customer might have, or of an ingredient, or let's say about wine. There's a funny story about wine. I was in one of these promotions with big numbers of producers of wine. We were talking with a lot of wine importers in a very big restaurant, an important restaurant in Beijing. We're having one of the best Beijing duck, and they served the food, and there were a couple of Chinese friends and wine importers there, and he told me, look what they're going to do. This guy was an Italian man, and I was very curious because I thought I knew more about China than he did. So they finished eating their kaoya, their Beijing duck, and instead of drinking a glass of wine, they drank a sip of coconut water. So it's more about the culture. It's more about what you have been doing so far, rather than what you expect the market to do. So that's true. So far, the maybe we, as a bigger Italian community, might not have been doing the right thing so far, for example, in communicating wine. But the reason why we decided to start cooperating with Slow Food is because we want to train Chinese chefs, we want to train Chinese foodies, we want to train more and more about what we have been realizing. The Chinese interests in Italian cuisine are growing more and more. Italian restaurants are popping out a lot in the first tier cities in Shanghai. The interest for Italian food is growing a lot. The interest for Italian ingredients is increasing incredibly on e-commerce platforms. So based on this wave, we are trying to give our support. Although we have been facing always, and we had been facing always, the challenges of what the Chinese market is, which is a very, very complicated world.
Thanks, Carlo, for your time. Thanks for talking to us that early at 8 a.m. China time.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed. Sorry for the technical issues. That happens sometimes. I don't know why. It's perfect with Zoom, and sometimes there are some technical issues. I don't know why. It could be the occasion actually to continue in another episode, but specific cases could be interesting on specific cases you worked on, specific segments of the Italian industry and economy. Thank you very much again, and hope you enjoyed.
Thank you very much for having me. I wish you a beautiful day and keep in touch.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, bye-bye.